Welcome, guys of high value. Today, I'm going to break a loop that has been holding many men back. I'm going to tell you 8 major mistakes that high-value men should never make for a woman. These aren't just suggestions, they're rules to live by. Stay with me, because each point builds on the last. I assure you that the 8th mistake is a crucial aspect that most men tend to ignore. Let me start with a story that may sound familiar. A man who used to have everything, confidence, direction, and purpose, loses it all because he kept giving up his values to please a woman. He thought he was doing the right thing, but over time he changed into someone he didn't recognize and someone she didn't respect. This isn't just his story, it's the story of many men who fail to put themselves and their purpose first. Before we go any further, I need you to do 2 things. First, click the like button and subscribe to the Stoic Golden Rule for more tips on how to handle relationships and live as a high-value man. Next, if you're ready to take your life to the next level, leave a comment below saying, "I'm a high-value man." Mistake 1. Betraying your brothers for a woman. You should never lie to a woman about your family. Men should never let a woman get in the way of their loyalty to their brother. However, how many times have we seen friendships fall apart because of a woman? It happens more often than you think. Let's look at a real-life example. 2 inseparable best friends begin dating a woman who harbors feelings for the other guy. Instead of standing firm, the boyfriend starts to distance himself from his brother and chooses the woman over him. After a few months, the relationship ends badly, leaving him with neither the woman nor his friend. This is the price of betrayal, and it's a steep one. This is why it's so important. Women may come and go, but your brothers, the men who have supported you through difficult times, are irreplaceable. They'll pick you up when you're down and tell you when you're going in the wrong direction. Some men might say, "But what if she's the love of my life?" I understand your point, but consider this. What does it reveal about her character if she encourages you to abandon your commitment to your closest friend? A high-value woman would never ask you to give up your values or your people. She would respect the bonds you've made and the loyalty you uphold. When you betray your brothers for a woman, you send a message to her and everyone else that your values are negotiable, and once a woman sees that you're willing to do anything for her, she will no longer respect you. There's a difference between healthy priority and blind submission. I'm not saying you should never put your relationship first. Brothers who have been there for you deserve your loyalty. Women respect men who are loyal and honest, not men who are easily swayed by feeling or manipulation. How do you deal with this in real life? From the beginning, be clear about your limits. Let her know that even though you're committed to the relationship, you can't give up your friends. If she respects you, she'll respect your brothers too, and if she doesn't, that's a red flag you shouldn't ignore. Ultimately, a man of high values understands the boundaries of what he values. Loyalty sticks to his beliefs and never lets short-term wants get in the way of long-term relationships. Instead of trading your brothers for short-term pleasure or praise, remember that they are there for you in hard times. Let's move on to the next big mistake. Men of high value should never let a woman do number 2. Mistake 2. Giving her power. You are in charge of your life. If you let her, you lose both your purpose and her respect. Control is a subtle game. It doesn't start with big demands, it starts with small ones. At first, these small adjustments might not seem significant, but they accumulate over time, and before you realize it, you're no longer in control of your own life. You're simply adhering to hers. Let me explain with an example. Think of, you're in a relationship and everything looks great. She starts by making small ideas. If she wants you to call her every morning or check in after work, you might think, "What's the harm? It shows that I care." but then it gets worse. She wants to know where you are at all times, who you're with, and even what you're doing with your free time. Suddenly you find yourself constantly justifying, explaining, and even apologizing for living your own life. However, this is about control, and she loses respect for you once she feels she can order you around. Women naturally like men who are in charge and have their own goals and vision. Allowing her to take the lead will transform you into the man she initially admired. Now, I'm not saying you should be cold or rude. Relationships need to communicate and compromise. However, there exists a narrow boundary between making healthy compromises and relinquishing control over your life. When you compromise too much, especially on your principles or purpose, you send the message that her opinion is more important than your own, and that's when things start to fall apart. In real life, if you're working on a big project that could define your career or personal growth, she might tell you to take a break because you've been working too hard. While her advice may seem well-intentioned, persisting in following it could lead to a situation where you become stuck. The woman who told you to slow down might lose interest because you're no longer working hard on the project. She liked a driven and eager man, so what's the solution? Set limits and clear, strict rules. From the start, let her know you value her opinion, but make your own life decisions. For example, you could say, "Thanks for caring, but this project is important to me, and I need to stay focused." This not only protects your purpose, but it also reinforces your role as a leader in the relationship. Keep in mind that control is often subtle. It doesn't always manifest as manipulation or dominance. It can also masquerade as care or concern. As a high-value man, you must possess the ability to discern these subtleties and maintain your position. Being a relationship leader means knowing when to listen and when to decide. Truthfully, women respect men who have a backbone, can say no, and prioritize their values. If you don't let her control you, you not only keep her respect, but you also boost your own self-worth. In the end, the goal isn't to dominate or control her, it's to make sure you stay true to yourself. When you lead with confidence and clarity, you build a relationship based on mutual respect instead of silent anger. Remember that the moment you let her control you, you lose the very thing that drew her to you in the first place. Number 3. Don't take mistake. 3. Following her advice on choices that could change your life. How can you make decisions that will transform your life? It's okay to look for ideas, but you should always make the final decision. Women frequently hold valuable perspectives, yet there is a significant distinction between merely absorbing ideas and blindly adhering to advice, particularly when making significant life decisions. As a high-value man, you should always believe your own judgment over hers. Imagine yourself at a pivotal moment in your life, faced with a significant decision to make, whether she's deciding to invest in a business, take a job overseas, or go after a difficult goal out of love or worry. She gives tips based on how she feels, instead of what will happen in the long run. She might ask, "Why take the risk? You're doing great the way you are," and even though she seems to be looking out for you, her view is often based on fear of change or short-term feelings instead of the logic you need for long-term success. The problem isn't her intentions, it's what happens. If you follow her advice and fail or feel awful about it, you'll have to live with the consequences, not her. Even worse, she may lose respect for you because she really wants you to lead, not follow. Now let's be clear, it's fine to look to your partner for ideas. Women can sometimes give you a new perspective that helps you see things differently. For example, they might point out something you missed or suggest a creative way to do it. However, when making significant decisions that impact your life and future, you should rely on your intuition, your past experiences, and the guidance of trusted mentors or peers. Let's say you want to change careers and are thinking about a move that requires financial risk but has big possible rewards. She might tell you to be safe because she's worried about your safety, but being secure could mean staying the same as a high-value guy. It is up to you to weigh the pros and cons. Talk to people who have been through it before you and make a choice based on logic and your vision, not on her fears. Most of the time, women's advice is based on how they feel at the moment, not on long-term goals. For example, she might say she wants something today, but then change her mind tomorrow. This kind of inconsistency can be frustrating if you take her words at face value without understanding the emotions behind them. So how do you deal with it? First, listen to her and politely say, "I appreciate your input. I'll take it into consideration." Allow yourself time to think about it or discuss it with male friends or mentors who understand your goals and challenges. In the end, this method shows that you value her opinion without giving up your leadership role. Women respect guys who take charge of their own lives. They might not always agree with your choices, but they'll respect you for being strong. Women's advice is important, but men who always follow it could lose both her respect and their sense of who they are. Define your future by believing in yourself and staying true to your purpose. This will help you stand out as a man of outstanding value. Remember that being a leader doesn't mean firing people. It means knowing when to take charge and confidently guide your life in the right way. 4. Never give up. Mistake 4. Giving up. Your goal. Giving up your goal for a woman. Giving up your identity for anyone is the worst thing that can happen to a man. The thing that makes you who you are and gives your life value is your purpose. Although men need direction and satisfaction, one of the worst things they can do is give up their purpose to please a woman. You start to lose not only her respect, but also your sense of self when you give in. Let's say you've spent years building your career, mastering a craft or pursuing a passion. Then you meet someone who doesn't understand or approve of the time and effort you put into your goals. She might say things like, "You work too much," or "You need to focus more on us." While these comments may come from a place of love, they can lead to dangerous compromises if you're not careful. At first, she might seem pleased that you're spending more time with her, but as time goes on, she starts to lose interest in you because the things that attracted her to you, your drive, ambition, and dedication, have been replaced by complacency. She starts to see you as someone who puts her needs ahead of his own growth, which is not the man she admired in the first place. Many men did this. They gave up their dreams, missed opportunities, or put them on hold to strengthen their relationship. Instead, they ended up stuck in a cycle of regret, anger, and a lack of fulfillment. Even worse, many of these relationships ended because the woman no longer respected the man she once fell in love with. How can you avoid this trap? You need to change the way you think about your purpose. This isn't something you can put off or trade for short-term happiness. A high worth. To be clear, a man puts his purpose first because he knows that's what makes him valuable to himself and to everyone else. This doesn't mean ignoring your partner's wants or your relationship. You need to find a way to stay true to your goals and still care for your relationship. For example, if your partner says, "I feel like you're too busy for me," you can say, "I understand how you feel, and I'll make sure we have quality time together, but my work is important to me and I need your support to keep growing." This shows that you respect her feelings while also reaffirming your commitment to your purpose. Women naturally like guys who have a plan. When you stay focused on your goals, you show confidence, discipline, and stability, which makes you irresistible. In the other direction, giving up your purpose makes you lost, unsure, and dependent, which lowers both your self-esteem and her respect for you. Your purpose isn't just about money or success, it's about living a meaningful, honest life. Staying true to your purpose strengthens your life, including your relationships. And remember this, if a woman loves and respects you, she'll support your journey, not try to steer you off course. A person without a goal is like a ship without a rudder. They move aimlessly and are easy to sway. No matter how much you care about them, don't let anyone take advantage of them. That away from you, 5 times 5. Giving her all your attention. Focus is a man's currency. Spend it carefully. A woman's greatest desire is often your attention. She'll crave it, ask for it, and sometimes even demand it. But here's the paradox. She doesn't value it as much the more you give it to her. As with everything else in life, too much attention isn't worth much. If you give her all of your attention, you risk becoming boring and predictable, which is what keeps her interested. Let me give you an example to show what I mean. Let's say you initially prioritize your job, hobbies, and personal development when you meet someone. She enjoys the challenge of getting your attention because you're not always available, but over time you start putting her ahead of everything else. You text her all the time, answer her calls right away, and cancel plans to spend more time with her. At first, she might seem happy, but soon she starts pulling away because she doesn't have to work for your attention anymore. It's given to her for free. This isn't just for fun, it's about understanding human nature. By giving her all your attention, you take away her chance to miss you, wonder about you, and enjoy your presence. Without that sense of scarcity, the spark that drew her to you can fade. Does this mean you should ignore her completely? In relationships, I need to connect with people and be emotionally accessible, but there's a balance. The amount of time and attention you give someone should be important, not excessive and constant. If you're always available, you risk becoming boring, and boring is the enemy of attraction. Here's how to deal with this. Focus on your own life and goals. Focus on your hobbies and your personal growth. When you give her your time, make sure it's quality time, moments that she will remember and that have an effect on her. For example, instead of texting her all day, set aside an hour to have a meaningful conversation or plan a special date. In addition to keeping her interested, this gives you a reason to keep going. Take a quick test to see if you're giving her too much care. If she's the center of your world and you're ignoring your own growth, it's time to rebalance, and I need your help with this. If you believe your relationship is perfect, please share your thoughts, and if not, please share your thoughts as well. Let's see where you stand if you feel like you're losing yourself in the process of giving too much attention. Remember that high-value men are hard to get to. Their attention is earned, not given away for free. This is true for both women and men. Everyone in your life will value your time and attention if you do. Knowing how to balance your attention will keep her interested and your self-esteem intact. Don't give her too much, just enough to keep her interested while you keep your mind on your goal. Next, let's talk about the next mistake. Important men should. Mistake 6. Getting a stepdad. 6th, don't be a stepdad. When you're responsible for another man's children, you rarely emerge victorious. Now let's talk about one of the most sensitive topics for men. It's challenging to enter a relationship where you'll be raising someone else's child, but it's crucial to discuss it. Particularly for high-value men who understand the importance of long-term decisions. Here's the truth. If you decide to become a stepdad, you'll have a lot of responsibilities. In addition to dating the woman, you'll have to deal with her child's needs and possibly the father. Being a stepdad isn't inherently wrong, but it does come with some challenges that you need to think about carefully. First, let's talk about the difference between effort and reward as a stepdad. As a stepdad, you may have to spend a lot of time, energy and money on raising a child who, no matter how much you care for them, may never see you as their real father. As a stepdad, you often find your role undervalued and the emotional reward uncertain in the long run. This situation can evoke feelings of anger or frustration, particularly when your efforts go unrecognized or unacknowledged. Secondly, there's the issue of control. Unlike raising your own children, being a stepdad often means you can't do everything you want. If you are not the original parents, they may make decisions about how to raise the child, putting you in a secondary role. This situation could pose a challenge for a man who seeks leadership and guidance in his life. To give you an example, a friend of mine dated a single mum and really cared about her child. He stepped up to the role of stepdad, helping with schoolwork, going to events, and even contributing financially, but there were always limits he couldn't cross. The mother and biological father made decisions about the child's future, and he often felt like an outsider in his own home. Eventually, the relationship ended, leaving him heartbroken and feeling like all of his efforts had been for nothing. Now, I'm not saying you can't date single mothers. Some are amazing women with a lot to offer, but there's a big difference between dating casually and becoming a stepdad. The second one makes you think about what you're getting out of it. If the answer doesn't fit with your goals and values, it's better to leave. Here's what you should remember. Follow this rule. Every choice you make should improve your life, not make it more difficult than it needs to be. If becoming a stepdad doesn't align with your long-term goals, you should reconsider your decision. This doesn't mean you're ignoring single mothers or their children. It just means you're putting yourself first, and as a high-value man, that's exactly what you should be doing, making decisions that protect your time, energy, and resources, while making sure your life stays on the path you've planned. In the end, becoming a stepdad is a personal choice, but for most high-value men, if this ever comes up, ask yourself if it really fits with your purpose and goal. That's because the challenges are greater than the benefits. It's SM number 7 if it doesn't remember that leaving isn't selfish. Don't let or change. 7th. Mistake. Letting her change your mind. Your thought is the base of your life. No one should be able to shake it. A strong mindset is what sets high-value men apart from others. It guides your choices, gives you purpose, and leads to success. But one of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships is letting a woman change their mindset over time. This happens slowly and almost imperceptibly through many small concessions. Let me describe how this works. When you start dating someone, she likes that you're strong and sure of what you want. But over time, you start to do what she says. Initially, your actions are solely motivated by her happiness. However, over time, they could also be: you might agree to skip a workout to spend more time with her, or you might change your job plans because she doesn't want you to travel too much for work. Each of these decisions seems small at the time, but they add up over time and cause you to compromise your core values. This is the issue. You lose more than just your attention when you let someone else control your thoughts. You lose respect as well, because women like men who stick to their beliefs and decisions. Letting her sway you sends the message that you're not sure of yourself, which is a trait she'll find less attractive over time. Now let's be clear. This doesn't mean you should ignore all of her opinions or suggestions. There's value in listening to her, especially when it comes from a place of genuine care. But as a high-value man, you need to filter these inputs through your own logic and purpose. For example, if she says you work too hard and should relax more, it's fine to acknowledge her concern, but instead of giving up your work ethic, you could say, "I understand where you're coming from, but staying focused on my goals is important to me. Let's find some time to unwind together that won't get in the way of my work." Let me give you a quick example from my own life. I was in my late 20s and really focused on building my career. At the time, I was dating someone who didn't fully understand my drive. They often told me to slow down, take fewer risks, or look at safer options. They meant well, but I knew that following their advice would get in the way of my long-term goals. Standing my ground wasn't easy, but it kept me on track and earned her respect. If you let someone else run your life, you could lose everything you've worked for. Remember that a woman will respect you more if you stay true to yourself, even if she loves you. Being a leader in a relationship doesn't mean ignoring her advice. It means being sure enough to make the right choices for your life. Stand firm in your values, beliefs, and purpose, and you'll find that not only does she respect you more, but you also respect yourself. 8th, never give up on anything. Mistake 8, giving up all your choices. What woman can you choose from? Being fair is important. Don't provide what you don't receive. Giving up all your choices is one of the worst things a man can do in a relationship. Whatever the reason, don't date or work with a woman who hasn't shown the same level of commitment. This isn't about playing games, it's about protecting your independence and sense of worth. Let's break this down. You meet a woman you really like, things are going well, and she tells you to delete your social media accounts. If you want to show her how serious you are, you might cut ties with your female friends and stop doing anything that doesn't involve her. But the truth is that while you're giving up your freedom, she's probably keeping hers. She might still have her male friends, keep her social accounts active, and enjoy her independence while expecting you to give up yours. This imbalance causes two problems. First, it lowers your sense of self-worth because you've changed who you are to meet her expectations. Second, it sends a message that you're willing to give more than you receive, which rarely earns respect in the long term. This is an example. A man I knew was in a similar situation. He fell in love with a woman who insisted he cut off all ties with his female friends, while she continued to hang out with her male co-workers and stay close with her ex-boyfriends. At first, he thought this was normal because relationships require compromise, but over time, he realized the unfairness. She kept her support network, but he gave up all of his. When the relationship ended, he found himself alone, with no one to turn to. The lesson here is that if she's not willing to give up her options, neither should you. This doesn't mean you need to keep a list of potential partners or play games. It means you keep your independence and your connections to make sure the relationship is based on mutual respect and equality as a high-value man. Your choices, whether they're about relationships, friendships, or opportunities, are part of what makes you attractive. By keeping your choices open, you show confidence and abundance, which attracts people to you. On the other hand, giving them up out of fear or pressure shows insecurity and neediness, which can push her away. So how do you handle this? Set clear boundaries. If she asks you to make sacrifices, like deleting your social media, ask yourself if she's willing to do the same. If she asks you to cut ties with friends, has she done the same? A woman who really cares about and respects you won't ask you to give up everything for her. Instead, she'll tell you to keep your independence and will accept the limits you set. If she doesn't, it's a warning sign you shouldn't overlook. Remember this by keeping your choices open. You are not being selfish, you are just keeping the ties you value safe. This does not occur when one individual sacrifices everything for the happiness of the other. Thrive when both people bring their best selves to the table. Living as a high-value man. In this article, we've talked about 8 big mistakes that high-value men should never make with women. Here's a quick review. Never abandon your brothers, never let her control you, and never make life-changing choices based on what she says. Don't give her all of your time. Don't become a stepdad. Don't let her change the way you think. And don't give up all of your choices. Each of these mistakes hurts your sense of self-worth, your sense of purpose, and in the end, her respect for you. Here's the main point. A high-value man lives by principles, not by pressure. He knows that relationships are important, but they shouldn't take over his life. Men attract women. Men who are certain of their values, lead with confidence, and prioritize their purpose, attract women. Now I want you to think about these 8 things. Does your life lack purpose? If this is the case, there is still time to make positive changes. Begin by setting limits, keeping your eyes on your goals, and living with intention. Keep in mind that actions, not words, earn respect. If this helped you, please click the like button. Share this movie and subscribe to the Stoic Golden Rule with someone who needs to hear it. If you're ready to live like a high-value man, leave a comment below saying, "I'm a high-value man." You're welcome, high-value guys. Respect yourself, put your goal first, and the right people will always follow you. Until next time, do not lose focus, do not give up.